Hey everybody, welcome back and welcome if you're new. Today I'm going to be watching Nukes top 5 ESP, psychic, and telekinesis sightings caught on camera and in real life. I have seen this one before, but it's one of my favorite Nukes top 5 videos. So let's just get right into it.
The most compelling proof of ESP, psychic powers, and telekinesis. Now, before I even start this video, let me emphasize that these are some of the most compelling videos that support the possibility of ESP or psychic powers. The videos here are presented as they were by the original eyewitness reports. In most cases, these stories were televised by major news outlets. But of course, it's up to you to decide what you believe. Spectres and visions. Beginning in the 1960s, a woman named Stella Lansing claimed that she began to see strange lights in the sky and had odd visions that no one else seemed to see. In an attempt to prove that what she was seeing was real, Stella began to take photographs of her experiences. In one picture, a severed arm can be seen floating over a woman's head. This self-portrait taken by Stella Lansing shows bizarre lesions forming on her face. Despite trying many different types of cameras, the results were always the same. Unusual and often ghastly images appeared in the photos. In the late 1960s, Stella acquired an 8mm film camera and began to record her sightings in live motion. That's when things became even more bizarre. Single frames of Stella's film contained a group of men who seemed to be lurking in the shadows all around her. Paranormal investigators later began to refer to these men as, quote, the occupants. Film investigators checked Stella's footage, but no one was able to explain how the images got on the film.
See, that's crazy. I don't know if that's paranormal or if she was somehow seeing, like, somewhere else, but...
Especially not how they could have been put there by Stella. After all, Stella Lansing was a middle-aged housewife with no experience in photography or photo developing. Keeping in mind that this was before the age of home computers, it would have required an expert production team to even attempt faking the images on the film. And here's where things get truly creepy. Stella's footage was shot on silent 8mm film. However, when experts transferred the silent film over to videotape to analyze, suddenly strange unexplained voices appeared on their tapes.
What the heck? What is he saying?
Stella Lansing passed away in 2012. Her photographs and films have never been explained. Previous life. When little Luke Ruhlman was only 2 years old, he began to talk about a woman named Pam, even though no members of his family or their friends had that name. He would call many of his toys Pam, and even sometimes refer to himself as Pam. As his ability to communicate grew, his seeming obsession with this imaginary person named Pam also began to grow. One day his mom decided to ask him directly just who Pam was.
I was like, who is Pam? You know, out of frustration. And that's when he turned to me and looked at me and said, well, I was. And I was like, what do you mean you were? And he was like, well, I used to be, but I died and I went up to heaven. I saw God. And then eventually God pushed me back down. And when I woke up, I was a baby and you named me Luke.
Luke described that he had actually been Pam in a previous life. According to Luke, Pam was a woman who had lived in Chicago
Sorry, this is...
who had died. He said Pam had jumped from a window to escape an out-of-control apartment fire. Luke was also able to describe bizarrely accurate details of the woman's life in Chicago, even though he had never been there before. Luke's mom decided to do some research. Turns out there was in fact a woman in her 30s named Pam Robinson who had died in a fire in Chicago in 1993. Pam Robinson perished under the exact circumstances that Luke had described. When young Luke was shown a series of photographs of random women, he immediately picked Pam Robinson out of the group and said that he, quote, remembered the picture. Chi.
So, with that one, I really do think that some people do come back and are reincarnated. I don't know why, but there's a Mr. Ballin story that I wanted to do also, and it's like the same thing. This little girl was born, and then she remembered being an Egyptian. So I don't know why some people have these like experiences and some don't, but I do believe that some people do.
The television show Ring of Fire: An Indonesian Odyssey was a series of documentaries about the islands of Indonesia, funded by the BBC. The documentary series began in 1972 and lasted over 2 decades. During filming, one of the documentarians got a severe eye infection while passing through the Lampung province of Indonesia. The native people referred the film crew to a mysterious local healer, a man they claimed had great healing power. This healer initially refused to appear on camera and did not want his name revealed, saying that it went against the ways of his sect and their teachings. The documentarians eventually coaxed him into appearing on camera, but promised they would not give his name, referring to him only under the assumed name of DJ. DJ claimed to be able to harness his chi, or life force energy, and then direct it into his patients to deliver healing transfers of energy, sometimes through acupuncture needles, and sometimes just through touch alone. The documentarians were doubtful, until one of them experienced the treatment firsthand.
It was nothing like any acupuncture I'd ever had. I was getting really powerful electric shocks and couldn't control my movements at all.
Like you can touch me, like this. It's nothing, okay? It's my burn. Just like this.
That's crazy.
For our sound recordist, it was also a shocker. He then took our newspaper outside and showed us how chi can also be used to set things on fire.
The documentary
That's just great.
filmmakers returned later with a panel of experts to perform tests on the man known only as DJ, using metal detectors and even electric voltmeters to examine him, trying to determine if he was using some hidden means to induce electric current. But their instruments and voltmeters showed no readings of electrical energy, despite the fact that they could feel shocks while touching him during the tests. Even though the tests were going well, suddenly one morning DJ refused to participate any further in the filming. He claimed that his long-dead master had appeared to him in a dream, furious with him for betraying the rules of his sect and showing off in public and in front of cameras. The documentarians reluctantly agreed to leave.
Man, but this could help so many people. I wish, like, they would share it, like, how to do these things.
And never contact DJ again. Telekinesis. In the 1960s, a Russian housewife named Ninel Kulagina claimed to have the psychic gift of telekinesis. She said that she could move small objects over short distances using only her mind. Many believed that the claims were simply Cold War propaganda by the Russian government. Basically, a fake news piece produced in an attempt to scare the world into believing that Russia somehow had citizens with superhuman abilities. Over 40 international scientists were brought in to study Ninel Kulagina under controlled conditions. They were amazed as Ninel seemed to be able to move small objects solely with her mind. Clear glass boxes were placed over the objects to eliminate the ability for Kulagina to use magnets or even blow on the objects with her breath. But she was still able to perform her amazing feats.
How's she gonna blow it, like, to her?
During the study, Kulagina's heart rate and brainwaves spiked erratically, and she complained of headaches. But nevertheless, she completed the tests. The scientific team investigating claimed that they could find no logical explanation for what Ninel Kulagina could do. Remote viewing.
Crazy, she has powers.
It's called remote viewing, and one of the world's finest exponents who's worked for people at NASA is sitting right over here, Joe McGonigal.
In the 1990s, a man named Joe McMoneagle claimed to have an amazing psychic ability: remote viewing. Remote viewers claim that they are able to see psychic glimpses through another person's eyes, even if the psychic has never met the person, even if that person is thousands of miles away, and some claim even if the person is in the past or the future. In 1997, Joe McMoneagle was tested by the BBC television show Paul McKenna's Paranormal World. He attempted to view what was being seen by a man that he'd never met, standing somewhere in London where he'd never been. Amazingly, Joe was somehow able to perceive that the man was looking at a railway bridge over the River Thames.
I want to mix half circles with straight lines. My sense of it is some kind of a raised object, perhaps. It's starting to look a lot like a bridge, but I don't want to call it a bridge.
Okay.
I don't want to call it a bridge yet. Looks a lot like a bridge, but I don't know if this is a walkway or if this is actually a waterway. This could be water as well.
The moment of truth.
Water, you've got water certainly.
Up here. Now, I tell you what is very interesting, because I know the bridge. And I was very much aware of trains passing over it.
Yeah.
So I must confess it is quite possible. I'm not trying to stretch it too...
I kept getting a great throughway with some kind of the arches or something at the end.
But the story of Joe McMoneagle gets even stranger, because Joe soon began giving speeches at various UFO conferences. In his speeches, he made the wild claim that in the late 1980s, he had been enlisted by the CIA into a secret classified project. The goal of the project was to attempt remote spying on enemies of the United States. But it gets even crazier than that, because Joe McMoneagle claimed that at one point the CIA gave him a sealed envelope containing a set of coordinates and a date. They then asked him, without him knowing the coordinates or date in the envelope, to tell them what he saw. What Joe didn't know was that the location and time that the CIA had given him were set up to intentionally discredit him. The coordinates led to a random spot on the surface of the planet Mars, and the time, millions of years ago. It was basically the CIA's attempt to prove once and for all that psychic remote viewing was a fraud. They fully expected Joe to start reciting standard earthly views, locations, and people, thereby proving that remote viewing was a scam. Instead, to their surprise, Joe began to say that he was seeing things that he couldn't comprehend. He said he saw giant alien beings who claimed to be dying, and odd buildings that looked like space-age pyramids. The experiment ended with Joe still claiming to see strange creatures and structures on an unusual landscape. Now, all that sounds like the whole thing has to be completely made up, right? Well, on August 8th, 2000, there was an actual document released by the CIA confirming everything that Joe McMoneagle had claimed. The document still exists on the CIA's official website. It's linked in the video description down below. So is this just an extremely bizarre joke by the CIA? Or did Joe McMoneagle actually psychically view strange beings on the surface of Mars millions of years ago? Look at the evidence, check out the document, and let me know what you think down in the comments.
So yeah, I wanted to share this one with you guys because I find this extremely interesting and it's actually true. Apparently the link just sends you to where you can put what you're looking for, but if you look it up, hard to find, but I'll link in the description. I have the other document. So these things are actually real. I don't know why it's so hard for people to believe that there's things that we can't explain, and we have more power than we think we do. And the CIA has done many experiments with remote viewing, and actually one of the people that have that did this. I can't remember his name, but he ran for president, I believe, in 2016, and but he ran as independent, and he claimed to have been a part of these. It's called Project Stargate, I believe, and it's true. I mean, there's documents confirming that they do these things, and it's really interesting. You guys should definitely check it out. Let me know what you guys think, and don't forget to leave a like if you liked this video, and don't forget to subscribe so you will be notified of my other videos. Thank you so much, everybody, and I hope to see you guys next time.